The greatest myth in roofing is the subcontractor business myth. All right. And I want to talk to you today about why you should join us on our mission. And we get it. As you can see on your screen here, we understand the problem that exists today. 99% of people live under a roof, 70% of people work under a roof, but only 1% of people actually work on a roof. And we know the challenges that come along with hiring as a subcontractor. We know who you're working with. You're working with the Timmy the crackhead, right? Who gets hired on Monday and shows up late on Tuesday. You're working with old man Bob. He's crusty and old. He's good at roofing, but he scares off the youngins and he's slow. And then you've also got Baller Benjamin, the guy who wants $35 an hour but won't show up to tear the roof. Right? And so as you can see here, we understand that you have a lot going on as a subcontractor trying to build a business. You've got hiring, payroll, taxes, equipment maintenance, invoicing, bundle counts, hiring and firing, and making sure that people are getting their T4s and their ROEs whenever they come and go, right? And then you train some guys up and they start getting going for you, and you think you're starting to get to the point where you have a crew that you could maybe walk away from and have some time. And what ends up happening? They quit and they go start their own subcontracting company. Right? And you got to think, why do big companies, why do all the big companies all subcontract the roofs, right? All the big companies here in Edmonton, around Alberta, and this is an international thing. Why are they subcontracting? If they're all doing it, it must be a great idea, right? Well, I'll tell you why, right? And it's because of the facts that you're going to see right here. One, we have no liability. Right? There's nothing really keeping us concerned about how that roofer is conducting themselves out there in the community. If they're driving fast and acting like yahoos on site, we don't care because they don't have logos on the sides of their trucks. So we don't have any onus as a big company to really maintain the community standards that you would for an employee. Right? We have a fixed cost of labor. You know how it is, right? You come in, you sign a subcontractor agreement, and you agree to a rate sheet for the whole season. That way the big company can say, oh, we know exactly what the labor is going to cost us in 2 months, and it's a fixed cost of labor. And then it's your job to make sure that you can meet those targets. So we hire once, and then we don't have to worry about it. You have to be all of the HR department, payroll, because we also don't have to do your employees' taxes, right? There's no HR payroll burden. There's no onboarding. There's no orientation. There's no safety training, right? We don't have to do the T4 slips and the T1 slips. And when you quit, we don't have to produce an ROE for your employees. This is all just something that you take care of for us as a subcontractor. And that way it makes it easy for us to know the profit, right? And this is what makes it easy for the big business. This is why they subcontract. There's also no WCB or insurance worries, right? We once had a subcontractor that we caught only having personal coverage on his workers. And when I called WCB to say, hey, if somebody falled off that roof today, would that have come back to us? WCB said no, that wasn't. They would still cover the worker. Then WCB would actually pursue the contractor and go after them for the money, and they would get in trouble. But in the end, it wouldn't fall back on us. We don't have the WCB or the insurance concerns. The same thing goes for if you, as our subcontractor, damage the property. Like we had this happen once, where a shingle fell down, hit the siding. Because of the supply shortages that are happening during COVID, there was no ability to get that siding for weeks, and the customer was upset. And then the siding that we could find wasn't a perfect match, and they felt that it was best to go through insurance, and we agreed, right? Because in the case of subcontracting, what would have happened is then when that shingle hits the wall, their insurance company would call our insurance company, then we hand our insurance company a copy of the subcontractor agreement and a copy of their liability insurance. Well, now my insurance company sues the insurance company, their insurance goes up, my insurance is safe, the homeowner gets the solution. I have nothing to lose in this situation. Right? We can also withhold the money, right? But you can't withhold the money from your workers. So when your workers show up and don't do a great job, or they say that they're a shingler and then they're obviously not a shingler, what happens? You still have to pay them hourly, but when it comes to you actually getting the job, we can withhold your money if you don't complete the job on time according to the process that we asked you to. We can withhold the money. You as a subcontractor can't withhold it from your employees. This is why the big companies subcontract. There's also no trucks or no tools to be stolen. There's also no trucks and tools to maintain. This is all something that doesn't come into play when you're subcontracting. This makes taxes a breeze because we have one cost to running our labor portion, and that's your check that we pay you as a subcontractor. And property damage is your problem. We don't have to worry about this kind of stuff. So personally, I don't know why you guys do it. I don't know why you guys sign these subcontractor agreements with the big companies like us, right? But we understand that that's just the way the business goes. And I think it really has a lot to do with the roofer myth, right? And the roofer myth is right here. essentially what happens is first you get good at shingling, right? You get good at shingling, you feel like you understand how to run a site, so you go and get a truck and you go and get a trailer and boom, now you're in business. You got a business license, you go and get your first subcontract. But then the lessons start happening, the setbacks happen, guys don't show up, you fall behind on jobs, you have an accident, some equipment gets broken, and all of a sudden, now you have guys not showing up, your payroll starts coming in slow, right? And all these things start going wrong. You have to learn these lessons. Then you have this theoretical comeback where you're going to now get things in line, sort it out, get better, and then you're going to go and sell your own jobs, right? You're going to sell your own jobs and have total control of the entire process. And from there, it's just smooth sailing, right? You're going to grow this big, huge company, make lots of money. Well, we know a few things about this because we've actually perfected the customer journey when it comes to actually buying a roof, in our opinion, because we focus on what's the best thing for the customer. One of the first things that happens, in order for us to do a roof, we're going to have to get an opportunity. And that usually comes in the form of a customer either requesting an estimate on our website or requesting it through through the telephone. At that point, we're going to gather the information that we need to make sure that we can properly set up an estimate, phone numbers, emails, everything that we need to make sure we can contact the customer throughout the entire job, should we be lucky enough to earn their business. From there, we actually book a drone measurement, and a drone goes and does a flyover. We could use measurements from the satellites, right, where they get the satellite measurement like an eagle view, but we like doing the drone measurements because we get 6K footage of the site, and we actually get way more accurate measurements that way, and they're measurements of the house as it is, not as how it was whenever Google did its last flyover. Sometimes there's additions or things that couldn't be seen because of trees, so we get a better, more accurate measurement of the site, right? At that point, the estimator books an appointment with the customer, and there's a very Uber-like experience to how we send out the estimates. And this is important for you when you're looking at working with us as a roofer, because we give the customer the kind of experience that's going to make it so that there's never-ending work here at Sargeants Roofing. And what happens is the customer gets an appointment notification, and then on our way, it's like Uber. So it says, Charlie's on his way. Charlie's 5 minutes away. Charlie's at your house, right? It's just like they're following you on the phone, just like you would to skip the dishes or your Uber driver. Then when they get up on the roof and they set up for safety, you know about it. When their measurements are done, you know about it. And as you come down to the truck and they're putting together your quote, you know that they've gone back down to the truck and you know what they're doing. And then finally, knock, knock, time to meet Charlie at the door. He's going to present you with your estimate. This gives the customer a better experience. At this point, when they're doing that measurements on the site, they're planning out the job. They're taking pictures in our app Company Cam that actually documents the entire job site with videos and photos and annotations, because a picture's worth 1,000 words, right? You can communicate so much more through pictures and video than a handwritten work order written in a windy day. So what that translates into is a better estimate, a better work order, a better job plan, and it creates the purchase order at the same time. So that way we make sure that the materials that as a worker you expect to be on site are actually going to be there. At that point, we're going to follow up with the customer 2-4 times, waiting for them to get their other quotes and ultimately get the information that they need to make a decision. At which point, the customer then says yes, and we then invoice the customer for their down payment, or we send them their financing agreement to help them make their monthly payments on the roof. Finally, the sales manager will then confirm the job file with the production manager, and that ideally should make sure that we have a bulletproof, perfect job plan that makes sure the job is going to go smoothly for our customers. At that point, we consider the job sold. Well, in order to get that phone to ring, or in order to get that lead to come in through the website, you as a subcontractor living the roofing myth, you're going to have to recreate this kind of experience, which means you're going to need marketing. And we actually took a look at our marketing to see what has it done over the course of years? What have we actually had to put together, right? And what that is 43%, as you can see here on the screen, 43% of our money has gone to Google. 32% of our money has gone to Facebook, 13% to radio, 8% has gone to our trucks and with the logos on it, 3% has gone to things like Renovation Find and other websites that kind of give us that impression that, you know, people can trust us because they've seen us in multiple places, but most of it goes to Facebook and Google. And what this is translated into is 21 million impressions on our brand, 21 million times, and that's just Facebook. 21 million times our brand is being seen. That's what you are going to have to recreate and compete with in order to get into the big business, right? And that all has to go somewhere. Those leads, those opportunities are going to go to a $350,000 website. Over the course of 5 years, Joe and myself had 2 crews maximum, and we were basically putting all of that profit back into our marketing and our website, which is about $129,000 on Facebook and 40,000 or something like that on Google. That's a lot of money we spent advertising, driving traffic towards this website that we've built up over the years, and we spent almost a little over $350,000 on it. What that does though is it creates these beautiful forms on our site that allow customers to select exactly what they're looking for, and now allows them to get us to deliver them the information that they want based on their needs. Then that little orange button on the form, what that does is you've probably heard of all that tracking and pixels and all this kind of stuff that Google and Facebook are doing. Well, what that does is it tells Google and Facebook to go out and find us more customers. So if this customer has been searching for best roofs for Alberta, best shingles in Alberta, what to do when a shingle blows off your roof, how much does a roof repair cost? When they're Googling that, Facebook and Google both know it. They know the videos they're watching on YouTube. And when they click that button, it sends a message off to Facebook and Google saying, go find us more customers like this. And finally, on our website, there's the chat system. We have to have people in the office ready to answer those chats when those chats come in, so the customers can get the kind of answers that they want when they want them in today's very much Uber-like world where they want instant, instant, instant. At that point, we're doing something that's an industry first, and what we think should be a standard, right? Which is the WCB clearance letter of this week and an insurance certificate sent to the customer immediately upon sending in a request. Because one of the biggest problems that we're seeing is in 2020, during the COVID times, what they did was they made workers' compensation free for contractors to try and help ease the financial burden that came with running a roofing company. Now, they were still covered by WCB, they just made the premiums free for a time. It was actually a deferral, which means that 6% of your labor costs are actually, now we have to pay back half of that in 2021 on top of currently keeping current with our WCB payments now. What we've seen, a lot of people are not doing WCB anymore. They're not paying for it. Their WCB is getting canceled. And the same goes for insurance as insurance rates have gone up. So what this means is that we believe every customer should be checking the WCB and the insurance of not just the contractor, but the subcontractor as well. So we're sending it out the minute the customer gets the lead. This is something that you are going to have to compete with being a roofing contractor. If you want to build your own business, this will be the standard by the time you get here, and you're going to have to start doing it now. The other thing is we also send an email with some really cool Army lingo, very, very on brand, very, very, customer service focus. We want to make it fun to buy a roof from us. So there's this cool thing about the drone flyover mission for their house, and it's going to ultimately start the experience off in a fun, light way. And this makes customers really enjoy working with us and lets them know the drone's coming to their house so they feel safe and they're not wondering why some guy's flying a drone outside their bedroom window. Now, then comes the estimate, and this is the coolest part of the experience for the customer. It's something that nobody else is doing, and it's the Uber-like estimates, that Uber-like skip the dishes type experience. We think that it's absolutely silly that when you order a $14 sandwich, you get a notification that says, Subway has received your order. Subway is making your order. Tom is on his way to pick up your order. Tom has your order. He's on the way. Knock, knock. Tom's at your door. Go get your food. How is your food? That experience is something that I believe you should get when you're spending $8, $10, $12, $15, $30, $40, $60,000 on a roof or any construction project for that matter. So we decided to bring it to the industry with this very new experience. And what that does is it sends the customer an appointment notification letting them know that we're on the way. And as you can see here, they get to follow us on the map, just like Skip the Dishes. So they can see when the estimator is coming. I know we all love having that knowledge of when things are happening. You've all been out there, you got your Uber, you're about to go out for a night out with your friends, and it's great to be able to just have that one last drink because you know the Uber is going to be here in 2 minutes. Well, that's the same experience we want to give customers, except it's not a $12 cab, it's a $30,000 roof, right? And the customers then know us because as you can see, there's a picture there. Well, that profile is of the estimator. So when you're getting an estimate as a homeowner, you're getting 4 guys that are going to show up to your house. You don't know who those 4 guys are, but with Sargeants, you do, because you're getting a picture and a profile of the person that's showing up, so you know exactly who they are. You can actually get a relationship with your estimator when you're a Sargeants Roofing customer. That's something that you're going to have to create if you're going to want to compete in the following years against something like this. This is the experience customers have come to know and love. It's familiar. It's what they've come to expect. Free overnight shipping and knowing everything is going on at every minute. And this makes it easy for us to stay on time and deliver a better experience because the customer sees where we are. They see that we're going through traffic. They see that we're stuck on the Henday because it's all right there. And then once we do get to the site and we start estimating, we start building out their customer portal, right? And this is something you should have if you're wanting to compete and go forward in this new world of business, which is where all the 6K photos are uploaded into the customer portal. So the customer gets actually to see what you're doing. Then we annotate those photos and we come on site and visit and take all kinds of pictures of their site. It's where we walk them through everything that's going to happen on their project so they can see that we're going to keep the door or the gate closed so the dog doesn't run out. We're going to put a board and a tarp around their air conditioning unit and let them know that they should have it shut off, because the last thing you want is a little nail to fall in there and ping, shoot through the side of the air conditioner. We want to make sure that we teach our customers first and sell them second. This allows us to actually set the expectations clear and upfront between the customer and the installer, because all the installers have access to the customer portal too. When they show up, they're not looking at a handwritten, scribbled out job file or something some guy typed up in Word at the end of the month because they was just trying to get the job in for commission. No, this is something that they performed on site that lets them actually travel to the site the night before and know exactly what they're up against. So they're not rushed. They're not thinking, oh crap, it's a big steep roof. I told my wife I'd be off work at 5 because we were going to go out for her parents' anniversary, and now they're rushing through the customer's job. No, the night before, the week before, they can see all the jobs coming up and they can plan their lives accordingly. We think that as a person in the roofing trade, as a professional, as a craftsman, as a tradesman, you and your employees deserve to know what their week's going to look like so they can plan their lives out, know when the early days are going to be and when the long days are going to be. And if things change, we can adapt and overcome. It's actually one of our core values. But then once we're done putting out to that job plan, we need to put together a proposal for our customer. And this is something that you're going to have to learn to create because our customers love it, right? They get a picture of their house on the very front of it so they actually know where their home is. Right? They get an introduction, so they get to know a little bit more about our company and a little bit more about the products that we sell. From there, they're going to get a number of different options so they can pick the shingle that works best for their budget. They can also do some upgrades like our solar readiness upgrade, and then they can pick their own color so they know that what they want is going to end up on their roof because they sign their proposal when they're done and all the terms and conditions are laid out, so it makes it a very clear experience for the customer. And then finally, it's after sale. And this is where the real work begins, because this is really what they're paying us for, is to manage their project properly, right? And you just can't deliver this kind of experience when you're a subcontractor because you don't have access to all the apps. You're not going to get that connection to the office that you get when you're doing something like here. First thing, they're going to get that sold thank you email. We want to let them know we appreciate their business and what they should expect next. They're going to get their customer portal link so they can follow along with the install during the day of the install. So that way they can see their roof coming together. There's nothing cooler. And I've seen it happen. I've heard it. I've had the phone calls. A lady that we did a roof for, she was at the bank and she was looking at her customer portal, watching her shingles go on throughout the day. And all the ladies at the bank were like, oh my gosh, Joanne, you got to run home. Look at all those men on your roof. And of course, it makes it a fun experience. It makes it so people understand. And then there's also another customer who wanted to take the day off to watch us. You know, the guy that wants to come up and watch and look over your shoulder as you're doing all your work. Well, that guy wants to be there to make sure you do a good job. But then it rained on Tuesday, so he couldn't, and he took the day off on Tuesday. He had to go back Wednesday. He couldn't watch us. But because of the customer portal, he was in there watching it all day, going through the pictures, making sure that we were doing our job. That guy had a better experience than he would have had because he would have been extremely frustrated that now because it rained, I don't get to watch these guys. His immediate assumption is we're not going to do a good job. With this, he was allowed to follow along and make sure that he got everything that was paid for. The ice and water behind the vents, the stinger staples, the full prep on a 10-12, everything we promised happened, right? And he felt good about it. So we get them into that customer portal right away. Then we send them their material delivery email. This is where they do their final confirmation of the color, and we let them know exactly what to expect during the material delivery process so they have a good time buying a roof from us. I have this little motto. Everybody who bought a roof would have rather bought a boat. Every single one, right? And everybody who bought a roof could have waited another month and probably could have done a month earlier. So they have to at least have the privilege of being able to enjoy spending that money. So we try and make it a little bit more of a pleasant experience. Finally, once the material is delivered, the crew will be dispatched for the job, and that's where they again get that Uber-like experience. This is where on the day of the job, they're going to have an actual Uber-like app that's going to let the customer know all the stages of the job that they're going through, so they get to not just follow along in the pictures, but they also get to see exactly what's happening. So they know when there's going to be debris flying off the roof and to make sure they stay inside. They're going to know when the roof is waterproof. So if they heard that there's some clouds coming in, they know that the roof is waterproof before they get there. And then finally, when they're done, it automatically schedules the appointment for the post-job inspection, which is where we go and make sure that it's to our standards before we're expecting our customer to pay, right? Now, all of this is a much better experience. This app up here that allows customers to see that, oh, we're on the way. That way they make sure they get their cars out of the driveway. They're not stuck behind the tool trailer and the dump trailer. And they get their cars out of the way. Oh, we're setting up the site for safety. Oh, your roof's being ripped off. Make sure you guys stay inside. If you're coming outside, make sure you get our attention so you don't get hit in the head with a shingle, right? And then your roof's prepped. It's waterproof. Oh, your roof's shingled. Oh, we're checking over the site. We're doing our final walk and cleanup. Oh, we're out of here. We're on the way. Your inspector should be reaching out shortly. This all deserves a much better experience, and customers will pay us more for it. So you need to make this if you're trying to live that roofer subcontractor's dream. But really, the power of the business isn't just our processes, it isn't just apps and systems and pictures. Really, this business is powered by people, and I'll start with the first two. That's me and Joe Sargeant, my business partner. Joe Sargeant, first, he's a family man. He worked for a roofing company for 9 years. He proved that you could have a career working on an in-house crew and build a life for your family. Because when you're subcontracting, your income is considered unreliable, to say at least in the eyes of the bank. But as an employee, your income's considered reliable because you're working for an institution. And he was able to buy his house at 23 years old, working for $24 an hour as a roofer, as in an in-house crew. And this is where the foundation of his belief in this roofing career comes from. Myself, I'm not a roofer. I'm a business nerd, a marketing guru. I'm the kind of guy who has, I built a business, sold an app. I've done a bunch of different things, and we've been best friends since we were very, very young, like in our early 18, 20-year-old times, right? Joe's got humble beginnings, and he's known as the most positive guy you're ever going to meet, right? Every day he wakes up and listens to motivationals and really tries to get himself amped up for the day. And now he sees that the universe is kind of bringing him what he asked for. And he's who sets the cultural pace for this business to always pay respect to the roofer. The thing about Joe is that when he worked for the company that he worked for and stayed there for 9 years, in the middle of that, they sold the company. And they sold the company like this. Okay, there's the tools, there's the trailers, there's the trucks, there's the sea cans, there's the yard, there's the dump trailer, there's Joe. He pretty much runs everything. Okay, thanks for the money. And they left. Joe never got a stake in that. Joe never got a piece of the profit or anything. He never got any sense of equity for all that time that he put in. And maybe why should he, right? He's an employee. But in the eyes of the new owner, Joe was essentially the intellectual property that was intended to run the business, and he did. He estimated jobs, he planned jobs, he did production management, he hired and fired and trained guys, right? Told them what kind of equipment to get. And in many cases, his boss would actually do things that put him in a bad position. Like what the most famous story I remember was that he had an indoor lift sent to an outdoor job. So every time you went over a pebble, the little safety mechanism shut the machine down, went into turtle mode, slowed him down, made him late to go home to his wife and kids. It was terrible. So eventually he decided that he was going to quit and go start a subcontracting roofing company because that's what everybody hears about. Oh yeah, $23 a bundle, go do it. So he went and left. Well, 5 years later, we waltzed our trucks back into that yard because that business went bankrupt without Joe, and we went and bought all their tools. And now you're going to see that a bunch of our tools have that company's name still etched in the sides of those ladders and those guns because we bought the company that lost Joe Sargeant, and we remember that. That's at the core of our beliefs as a company, is that you have to make sure that your best people have a stake in the company. Now, every roofer is going to say, you're not a roofer, right? And it's true. I'm a hell of a coil tosser, but not much of a roofer. But I am a little bit different. We've been friends for 20 years, Joe and I've done quite a bit of things. I've spoken to hundreds of roofing companies on stage about marketing and systems and CRMs and different softwares used to manage production, right? I've been to conferences. I've been paid to consult. I've worked with companies that are sized from 3 million to 47 million, teaching them how to use some of the tools that we've used. And in the process, I actually bring back a lot of the best practices of companies that have gone through challenges that we haven't yet been through. Right? I've been to everywhere from, you'll see on the map here, I've been everywhere from Hawaii to Minnesota to Texas, Florida. This is just my travel from the last few months. In the last year, I did $384,000 in consulting revenue from other companies. And with that money, I bring it back and invest it back into Sargeants Roofing. That's something that you'd have to compete with as another subcontractor in the city, is all the lessons that we've learned, we've brought back home, and that revenue that we've invested back into the company. If you look up my name, you'll just see a Google search full of me doing interviews and being on stage speaking. These are things that we have gone out and learned, and this is knowledge that we can pass on to our workers. You don't get that as a subcontractor. You get that working with us. We're the place where we want to teach you the most. We want you to learn the most because we believe that everything we have is a part of our people. A lot of companies say, well, what if we show our guys how to do everything and train them and they leave? Our fundamentals are, what if we don't train them and they stay? So we want to have the best people. And what's that translated into? We're the #1 rated roofing company in the city. We have the most Google reviews, the highest score, and our reviews aren't just like 5-star reviews left by moms and cousins of new employees. These are real reviews. We can show you the picture of every single house, and it goes all the way down. Huge long reviews explain the entire experience because we've developed a wow level experience. And we believe that it's easier to change the future, create the future, than it is to predict the future. And in our opinion, subcontracting is dead. And we're going to put the final nail in the coffin. And it's because of our system. And it all starts with our people. The people that we have fuel everything. And then they follow a process. And that process is designed to be fast, to give customers the kind of experience that they're expecting these days. And we lead with compassion. We believe that the people here deserve our compassion. The homeowners deserve our compassion. I don't believe that my customers will really be aligned with the idea that I say, hey, don't buy from that small company. Don't buy from that little subcontractor without logos on their truck. Don't buy from those small guys. Buy from us. We're a big company that you can trust. And then as soon as you say yes, I say, hey, little guys, get back up there and do that roof. I don't believe that that's really taking the customer's true desires at heart. That's why we don't subcontract, right? We can focus on compassion for our customers and for our people when there are people, when they work for us, and then we can train them. And if we train them, we can help them evolve their careers. And then when we know that we've trained our people, that allows us to have standards and expectations. And those standards and expectations are things that we can communicate to the customer so they know what to expect when they work with us. And then because we're able to communicate from the very first moment we talk to a customer right down to when the installers are on the roof, we know the entire experience front to back, so we can adapt to things as the market changes. And that's what makes us unique. But that means that you as a subcontractor need to know, well, what kind of path do I have if I want to go work with Sargeants Roofing instead of living the roofer myth? Well, it all starts from the top down. We've got our leadership, our COO, our CEO, our CFO. Those are the people that make sure that the company's leadership and the core values are always being adhered to and that our people have everything they need to do their jobs. From there, we have our production manager and our sales managers. So those are the people that make sure everything that needs to be on the job, that we constantly have new customers being delivered into the system. This is what makes sure that the business continues to run. From there, on the sales side, we've got the human resources department. This is where we bring people in. We get to know their personality. We get to bring them on, make sure they get properly onboarded and oriented to the company so they know what our core values are. They know what our standards are. They know what to expect working here. They understand what their pay rate's going to be, what the paydays are going to be, and we hold ourselves to it. When we say we're going to do something, we do it. And the human resources department makes sure that it happens. From there, we have accounting, making sure the bills get paid, making sure that you get paid. Then we have customer support, making sure our customers have constant communication with us. And then our inspector sales reps who actually make sure there's a steady flow of business that's reliable, where the jobs are planned out and we know exactly what we're going to do. Finally, then you have your site support. Site support makes sure that when you're going to go to a site, if there's bundles that are short, vents that are short, we need extra pieces, that site support brings that out so it's not delaying your day and the time that it takes for you to get home to your family because you're waiting on stuff. We make sure that we have people standing by to do site support. Then we want to make sure that we're taking care of the control of the quality and making sure we're taking control of the people's abilities through quality control and training. So we have a guy who actually goes to the sites, spends time with each crew every day, training and evolving, looking for the weaknesses in their armor and helping them get better at their job, and then also focusing on quality after the job. So we have that debrief and we can bring that up in our leadership meetings to make sure we're improving as a company. Then this is a new career path. Right now, where you're at as a subcontractor is you have your guys, your crew, and you go and you train up some guys and then you think maybe it's time to start a second crew. But then what happens? Guy goes, well, this seems easy. You get a truck, you get a trailer, I can get a loan for those, a business license, $300, 4 guns, it's $1,000 on my credit card, compressors, $600 in the pawn shop, boom, I'm in business. I'm a subcontractor. So then he quits working for you and he goes to do it himself. So then you're constantly on that treadmill because it looks easy. It looks easy being a subcontractor. We know it isn't. I know it isn't. I personally don't know why you sign the subcontractor agreements that you do. You take all the liability, all the responsibility, get none of the credit and none of the opportunity. You're not allowed to put logos on your trucks. You're not allowed to identify that it was your work that was done. The big company gets to come along and plop their sign in the lawn and say, hey, we did this. No, you didn't. That sub did that. You don't get any of that credit, but you come with all the responsibilities, obligations, and liability that comes with being a business owner. It's not fair. So instead, Come work for a company where it's obviously not easy. All these things that we've done, none of it was easy. It has been painstakingly hard for us to build this company, but we've done it because Joe and I don't need 21 million impressions on my face to earn a bit, to create a business. We don't need that. We need that for our people to be fed, for their families to be fed. That's why we need 21 million impressions. And we've paid for and built that, not for us, but for our people. Leaders eat last. And yes, someday we hope it'll pay off for us. But first, we want to pay it for you. All right, so what I want to present you with is an opportunity, and here's the reasons to join. There were 5, but now we could put on 2 more on the menu. We really want this to be a great opportunity for you. First of all, foremen can earn $34 plus an hour, plus they get overtime. Yes, you can get overtime in the roofing business. You're going to get that time and a half for working that extra time. So when you're making the sacrifice to help the business and help the team and help the customer get the roof done on time, you're going to get that little bit extra, because that way you can go home to your family and know that that little bit more that you put in is going to allow you to bring a little bit more home for them. We're also going to pay 6% vacation pay, which means that you're going to get that little bit more money so that you can, at the end of the year, go on a vacation, because you can put that away to save it, or you can take it home every month. But we also want to make sure that your holidays are yours. And so we're going to send you home and pay you according to the Alberta labor standards, which is you're going to get minimum wage to stay home and relax. So instead of like on a May long being forced to go up on a roof, you're going to go home and get paid to sit at home, spend time with your family and your friends, right? We have Alberta Blue Cross benefits, meaning that we want to make sure we take care of you. If we take care of you and take care of your body, you're going to take care of our customers, and our customers will take care of us for that privilege, right? And if you're a subcontractor and you're thinking, what am I going to do with my truck? No problem. Keep your company name open. We're going to rent your truck and we'll pay you a rate for your trailer. That way you can still have your tax write-offs and you can still grow your income through that other that other path of income, right? There's always the desire to have several streams of income. So like investments and stocks and having your job and your career and real estate, right? Keep your company and turn your vehicle into an asset that pays for yourself by allowing us to rent it from you. We'll put our decals on it and we'll make sure that you still don't put your truck to waste, right? And then you're going to have our fast hands bonus, which is something that if you get a job done in under 8 hours, we're going to pay you for the 8 hours. So that way we can train you to have fast hands. We want quality, but quality and speed can go together with good training. And finally, all of our tools and safety equipment are supplied, so that way you don't have to worry about maintaining tools, things breaking, going into prime fastener with a busted spring on a gun. And finally, you want to know what your guys are going to get. So we have our crew ranks and rates. Just like in the military, you're going to start out as a private. Everybody has to start out as a private and learn how they're doing things on our sites, doing it our way, the way our customers expect. And at that rate, you get the $20 an hour, which goes to $30 with overtime. Then once you've been trained to be a shingler and do it our way, you become a corporal. That's where you get that $27 an hour rate. They make sure that you're going to make a lot of money over summer, and into the spring and fall, you're going to have money go into the winter and maybe have some savings to take some time off, or you can join us on a couple of our other projects that we do in the winter. Then once you're leading a crew, you become a sergeant, and that's where you get $31 an hour, which is what, $46 overtime? That's that position where you now become a leader in training. You're not a leader yet. Being a foreman requires 5 things: leadership, site management, integrity, roofing ability, and teamwork. Roofing ability is 20% of what makes a foreman good. Site management, the ability to know everything that's going on around you, not just the rectangle in front of you, right? Leadership, being able to get that guys to take the hill with you on that hot sunny day, right? Integrity, being able to do the right thing when no one's watching, because now it's your job to make sure that right thing happens. And of course, teamwork, right? This job requires everybody to work together. It's way easier to put underlayment down with 2 people. It's way easier to put drip edge down with 2 people. It's way easier to put bundles down when a laborer is bringing you the bundles and the coils. So it's all about teamwork. And finally, once you're actually what we would call a master sergeant, which is the person who meets our standards and expectations and meets our production quotas, then you become a master sergeant, which is where you get $34 an hour and a whole boatload of money on overtime. $51 an hour. That's a great income for someone in Alberta. And then you get our medical benefits. This puts more money in your pocket because you're talking eyeglasses exams, chiropractic, massage, private counseling for your family. One of our employees went through divorce, never missed a day of work, but he went through divorce while working here, right? Addictions assistance is people who want to quit smoking, right? We don't allow smoking on the roof. We want to get you the help that you need, right? If you have a baby on the way, get a private room for your wife. And of course, drug coverage and medicine. Everybody needs things, right? When it comes to your dental, getting kids their braces. Joe Sargeant, one of the business owners here, What happened to him was his daughter, when he got his daughter back. They were living between the two parents. When he got his daughter back, she said, "Daddy, my teeth hurt," which is heartbreaking for any father to hear, "My teeth hurt." And he kind of put it off for a day, and he's like, "Okay, well, like, what's going on?" It says, "Open your mouth." He looks in there. Holy crap! She had not been brushing her teeth at her mom's, and what happened was her teeth were rotten. She had tons of cavities, so they had to go to the dentist for an emergency dental thing. It was $11,000, $3,200 after the benefits coverage. So what that meant was that would have been financially crippling for any roofer that worked for us if they had to spend $11,000. If you have to spend that extra couple of bucks you think you're getting per bundle goes away like that, right? And then there's also vision, getting glasses for you and your kids, making sure you're getting eye exams. And of course, there can be a chance of emergencies. Body care, like massages and chiropractic. Take care of your body. This is a body job. You're using your body to earn an income. You want to take care of it. And counseling, if you are going to go through divorce, or if you're going through that right now, or if you have something that you have to go through, such as maybe quitting smoking or working on drinking. These are things that have been faced in the roofing industry because employers have not been taking care of you. They've been saying, "Oh, you want to work here? No, we don't hire you. Go get a truck. Go get a trailer, go get a loan, buy some tools, get a business license, get WCB, get insurance, take on all the risks, start a company, then call us, then we'll give you a job. Oh, and go find 5 other guys that want to work for you." That is not the way that you take care of the people who help you take care of your customers. So we want to make sure that if you're going through something, you have the people that can help you get through it. And of course, medication, right? This is a job that works a toll on the body. If you need some medication for pain medication, you can get that. If your kids have asthma and they need puffers, our accountant uses $7,000 a month in medication as a 63-year-old accountant. It's a lot of money. So this allows you to save money, put more money in your family, in your pocket, in your household, which makes you a better father and husband, or wife and mother. And we want you to not just have the money, but also the perks, a creative work environment where you can have fun, right? After we get through COVID and the gyms open up, we have a gym membership for you guys. So you guys can stay healthy, because yes, working on the roof is certainly a great workout, but there's certain parts of your body that are kind of underserved. And so we want to make sure you get that taken care of. You have office lunches and snacks. When you come into the office, we got Red Bulls and cookies and snacks and stuff like that. So it can be kind of fun. You can come in and get rejuvenated. You can hang out here because we have team barbecues and company hiking trips to the mountains. Last year, it was so much fun. We had a blast, right? And then, of course, we have a dog-friendly office. Our chief happiness officer, Thanos, he's a great guard dog, but he's also great to have around, really livens up the office. Right? And this is the one last thing that I want you to put in your mind. That's a path to ownership. But did you know, if you've thought about working at Sargeants Roofing in the past, you've heard about us, did you know that one of our owners doesn't even work here? His name's Bob. And I can remember the day after 5 years, we came to him with the paperwork and we had the cameras set up hidden in the truck. We were all bawling and crying because we gave one of our foremen an ownership stake in the company. And then 2 years later, he retired from Sargeants Roofing at 47 because his body was sore. He was too old to roof, and he recognized that he wasn't serving the team by standing in the way of other people rising up to be a foreman. And we didn't really have a position for a site superintendent yet. And his body just couldn't handle roofing. So now he's a heavy equipment operator working on Trans Mountain Pipeline, but he still has an ownership stake in this business. So if we sell it, if we get a profit, he always gets his piece. And he wishes us the best in our future going forward. And I'm pretty sure someday he'll be back. So what I want you guys to do is consider joining the mission. We want to hear from you. Give us a call, send us an email, reach out to us on Facebook, or come see us at our office. We're looking for great people like you who are looking to build a career in this business.